Welcome to Innovate and Conversate, where we discuss the latest innovations and trends in the business world. I'm your host, Jana, and today we are going to be talking about diversity and inclusion in the Middle East, or as we love to call it, D&I. With me today is Ms. Irfan Siddiqui. She's a visionary in HR and an advocate for making D&I the center of every organization. Welcome, Ms. Irfan.
Thank you, Jana. I'm thrilled to be here. And D&I, as you say, or diversity, equity, and inclusion are topics that I'm very passionate about. So I'm very excited to be sharing my insights and experiences with you.
Welcome. So D&I is a buzzword today, but beyond the buzz, why is it so critical for organizations in the Middle East to implement this term in the organizations?
So, Jana, as you know, the Middle East is a very dynamic region and it has a very unique workplace demographic. So, a typical organization working here would have multiple nationalities, cultures, languages, generations, and even professional and educational backgrounds represented within their workforce. So the priority for businesses would then be on how to capitalize on this diversity, the gift of diversity, and be able to harness the potential of the diversity of perspectives, ideas, and experiences that they have access to through their workforce, and be able to achieve those business outcomes that research now shows us are a direct result of or inextricably linked to strong D&I practices. So as I mentioned, research on this, multiple credible organizations such as McKinsey, PwC, Deloitte have all established that a diverse workforce leads to higher profitability. By driving innovation and creativity, diverse workforce has proven to be more agile in responding to global marketplace trends, rapidly changing ones. As well as businesses with diverse workforces can access and expand their customer outreach as well as being an employer of choice for attracting top talent. But all this is only possible if businesses simultaneously and intentionally focus on fostering working environments and organizational cultures that celebrate and value this diversity, where their employees feel a sense of belonging, they have psychological safety to voice themselves, and they are able to equitably access the opportunities and support in the workplace that allows them to achieve their true potential and be more productive at work. So I think without inclusion, diversity is just a head count, and you are unable to access its potential that we hope to achieve through it.
I definitely agree. So as you mentioned that the Middle East is such a mix of perspectives, languages, and culture. So what are the trends that organizations are following or are adopting or should adapt and for them to be able to, stay competitive?
So we would not say that the Middle East is a DEI mature market just as yet, but there have been significant developments that show a rising commitment to these values, both from the government side as well as the private sector. And one of the leading trends has been a drive to push gender equity in the workplace, especially putting women in leadership roles. For example, the Women in Boards initiative here in the UAE, and in Bahrain, for example, the Supreme Council for Women has been able to achieve 35% representation of women in managerial roles. So these policies are seen, are evident now, their results are evident in the positive trajectory of women participation in the workforce in all countries such as Qatar, UAE, and Saudi even. So that's one major trend. Another critical trend is the inclusion of people of determination in the workplace. And again, laws exist across the region that protect them from employment discrimination, as well as mandate the employers to provide accessibility and accommodations within the workplace to these employees. Another thing, the trend that is dominating talent acquisition strategies in the region is the nationalization policies, the Emiratization or the Saudization policies, which aim at increasing the participation of the local workforce in local population in the workforce, which is underrepresented at the moment. One other group that is being focused on is working parents. We now have policies and labor laws that extend maternity and paternity leave requirements as well, as authorities such as the Early Childhood Authority here in the UAE that reward and recognize and encourage companies to adopt more parent-friendly policies. One other latest trend that we are seeing is the new UAE mental health law that has come in, and that has specific provisions for employment protection for people suffering from mental health conditions, and it cannot be a grounds for termination as well. So as you see, there is a very robust or adequate legislative framework which promotes D&I advocacy and advancement within the workplace. What remains to be seen is how companies can now operationalize and implement these strategies within their cultures, their policies, their structures and processes. And the trend is encouraging there as well, because we do see companies more and more investing in redefining their workplace cultures around D&I values, adopting more inclusive hiring practices, as well as putting in place equitable retention policies to support employees within the workplace. And there was a recent survey, or not a recent, but I think in 2022, they did a survey here in the UAE where 40% of the companies surveyed showed that they were already had some kind of a D&I program in place, and 50% were in the planning stages of adopting one. So the future looks bright. It's just that all stakeholders need to perform their roles in creating those better workplaces that are more humane.
Definitely. And if we want to talk about implementing D&I, can you maybe recommend a framework or a toolkit that organizations can adapt in implementing D&I strategies while still aligning their HR goals?
So that's so true, that you need a proper framework, and how intentional organizations are about designing and implementing a D&I program will guarantee its success. And I think the first thing that they need to consider is how they're approaching a D&I transformation. And it should not be as a CSR initiative or a nice-to-have program, nor should it be a strictly compliance or check-the-box approach. I think companies should approach D&I transformation as they would any other cultural transformation or organizational transformation, whether it's digital or structural, as a business imperative, as part of the overall business strategy of the company that gives them a competitive advantage. So if they approach it from that end, then they're already on a good path to success. And I think I'll give you a few broad steps that would lay the groundwork for a good D&I program rollout. And that would be to have buy-in by the top leadership. So if the C-suite is championing DEI as a strategic priority, and this is conveyed, both the support and the motive behind it is conveyed across the organization, then you get a lot of buy-in from everyone. I think the second is to have a clear vision of what your values are and what are the cultural and behavioral changes that you are aiming for, and how the DEI initiatives are going to fall into that plan. I think the most important step would then be a DEI assessment and data collection. And this is where you find out what your starting point is, where you stand currently, and gives you a good starting point to decide which areas to prioritize, what action to take, and then also be able to track your progress over time. And I think throughout this process, what you need is for organizations to remain transparent, teams to remain transparent and open, share their findings, share their strategies with all the stakeholders within the organization, create forums where this two-way dialogue can take place, so that there is an overall alignment around strategies and the way forward. So once companies have collected all these insights, then they can have a more focused, data-driven action plan put in place. And I think it's always good to start with a pilot project which allows you to test and refine your strategies and be able to measure regularly and monitor your progress throughout, so that everything stays on track.
Amazing. I love the points that you've just mentioned and how actionable it is actually. But nothing easy comes without any challenges. So, what are the common hurdles that organizations face when implementing D&I initiatives into their HR frameworks? Like, how can they overcome them?
So I think one of the most common challenges that that D&I implementation teams face is when they come up against deep-seated biases or resistance to change from stakeholders who are happy to be in the place that they are and don't see a need for change. And I think that can be countered by creating forums and, as we were talking about earlier, being transparent and open and providing the right forums for open discussion where employees are able to come, voice their fears, voice their concerns, and the team is able to convey to them the value of what they're doing, especially the business value of what they're doing. Another challenge is when companies don't have access to the right measuring tools, when they're unable to measure their success and how they're doing within their efforts. And this can cause a lot of frustration within the implementation team as well, but also they're unable to show their success to decision makers and the leadership to show value in the work that they are doing. So again, something that is easily fixable by putting in data assessment tools that can measure D&I metrics and be able to show you where you're heading and tweak your strategy as you go along, plus also share your success stories. And I think what teams need to remember throughout all this is that, and it's said very often, that D&I is a journey and not a one-off initiative, so D&I teams are in it for the long haul.
Amazing. Let's imagine it's 2030 and we're living in this workplace utopia where D&I is fully integrated into organizations. How does that look like for the future of HR in the Middle East?
Jenna, I love this question. But it has immediately, because you talked about the HR perspective, it has immediately taken me to the HR teams that are currently performing in the region, HR professionals who are some of them are friends of mine, and they have their unfair share of the DEI burden, but they carry it with heart and passion, so kudos to them. In fact, there was a survey done earlier in the year in 2024 where 47% of HR leaders interviewed said that their job-related stress was higher than in previous years. So HR has a lot on their plate. So in the utopia that you're talking about, all stakeholders, whether they're leaders, employees, partners, will all own and drive the mission of D&I within an organization, not just the HR. HR will be more than an administrative function. It'll be part of the strategic planning and development as well, as more organizations realize that their most valuable asset are their people, and they want to improve their employee experience and hence their employee engagement, leading to more productivity and business success. So an ideal DEI utopia envisions workplaces where D&I values are seamlessly integrated into all processes and policies within an organization will be called the DNA of the organization, and it's driving innovation, collaboration, and sustainable development across industries.
Then I hope we reach this utopia soon. If we want to talk about a success story, like a personal success story or an example of an organization that implemented D&I initiatives and have seen success, could you maybe share an example?
A few come to mind, and there are a few initiatives that were specific, but I'll share one that I found to be most engaging for me as well. Without taking any names, a regional team of a retail bank, a global retail bank that operates in the UAE, approached us and said that they had received negative feedback on their annual employee engagement survey, where employees felt unheard and collaboration was lacking within the teams, and knowledge sharing between teams was also at a minimal. So to address these concerns, we facilitated a series of interactive sessions with middle management as well as the general team as well. And we included certain design thinking techniques in our sessions with them, where we invited them to create personas So can I say this again?
Yeah.
We facilitated a series of interactive sessions with the middle management as well as the broader team, in which we included design thinking workshops with persona building exercises and empathy mapping and along the employee life cycle. Which helped identify the moments that matter where targeted improvements could be made and that could significantly enhance the employee experience for this team. The process was very transformative because employees felt empowered, they felt heard, they felt that they were part of the decision making and that their opinion was valued. So it was a very empowering session to attend, as well as the follow-up to that, because then we presented all these findings to the leadership team, and they realized that from simple fixes like having ergonomic chairs and better monitors in the workplace to setting up digital collaboration tools like Slack or Teams to have that exchange of ideas and knowledge sharing available to their employees were then put into place, and there were simple things that they could do immediately. And it had a immediate impact on the next employee survey that they did, which showed a marked increase in employee engagement and knowledge sharing and employee loyalty and satisfaction within the workplace. So it just validates the power of inclusive ideation, inclusive decision making, and how driving meaningful change can come from inclusion.
Amazing. And if we want to wrap up the podcast, what advice would you give to HR professionals today, or decision makers, or any person who would love to see the workplace fully integrated with DI initiatives?
So I'll give my quick tip to you, and that would be to be authentic, be empathetic, and be intentional in curating and implementing a D&I program, and align your efforts to your overall business strategy and goals. I think I would also say seek external help where you need it and where you find a gap within your own expertise. And then enjoy your efforts, because the ROI of having organizational culture built on strong D&I values is immense.
Amazing. Thank you so much today for your insights. It's been a pleasure having you with us.
Thank you so much, Anna.
Thank you to our listeners for tuning in. We'd love to hear back from you on which topics you would like for us to discuss next. Until next time, stay innovative and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible.